Welcome to Aligned and Local, the podcast where community takes center stage. I'm Christina, a local realtor and your host, here to bring you inspiring stories from the incredible business owners, community leaders, and change makers shaping our neighborhoods. Whether we're spotlighting local heroes or diving into the latest market trends or exploring what makes this community such a special place to call home, this show is all about connection, collaboration, and celebrating the heart of where we live. So if you're ready to align with what matters most, your home, your community, and your goals, let's jump in. Today we are interviewing Evan Shor. Evan Shor was actually introduced to me by one of our most recent podcast guests, Jeff Cole. Interestingly enough, Evan is very, very close friends with distant family of mine. And so it was super funny when we were talking, he said something along the lines to me of, well, can I introduce you to Adam? And I'm like, that's so weird. Hey, Adam, this is your cousin, Christina, who it was just super, super funny. But anyway, Evan is from Neighborhood Loans. He is a licensed loan originator. He is also a firefighter paramedic, and since childhood, he has always went out of his way to tend to those who needed him. As an adult, that's obviously continued to be who he is. And so his career has allowed him to learn nuances of proper communication, timelines, and organization. He has a loving wife, 3 small children at home, and these are the most important things to him. Evan is meticulous at helping his clients from start to finish, whether it's purchasing their first home, second home, an investment property, doing a refinance, or a HELOC to help attain their goals. And Evan will continue to be available to his clients long after closing, as maintaining relationships and friendships is really one of his best attributes. Hello, how are you? You got on just in time for me to finish introducing you. Super, super stoked to have you. So let's start simple. I introduced you, but why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of what you love and why you even became a loan officer at all?
All right. Evan Shor, Neighborhood Loans. I am located in Warrenville. I've been local to the area for a really long time. I moved here as a child to Bartlett, and then in middle school, ended up in the Wheaton area. So this Wheaton, Naperville, Warrenville area has really been my home for as long as I can remember. I live here. As I said, I have a wonderful wife, 3 little kids, which is great, keeps me busy. We may hear some screaming in the background, try to avoid it, but I am working at home today. They're all getting over that flu bug that's been going around. And I work as a full-time firefighter, paramedic, and along with that, I work as a mortgage lender. And I got into that through someone I worked with at the fire department. I previously owned another small business. We had an exit from it. And after just staying in touch with, my Joey, who I work for now, I told him, I exited the company, and he'd tried hiring me in the past, and I was running my business, and he's like, I'd still be willing to have you on board. And it just seemed to fit something that I love, right? I mean, with all I do, it's helping, right? I like to help people and making sure people can get into a home comfortably. The goal is to obviously not just find them a home, but to make sure they're not overextending. You see way too much of that, and I want people to be comfortable. I want them to be able to continue to live their life as they choose and not be house poor, right? I mean, that's what you see some of, which is you feel terrible for people who get in that situation. And to me, it's just great being able to help individuals get into homes. It just continues to flow with, again, everything I've always done, just helping, trying to be there for people.
How long have you been a fireman for?
I've been with the city of Naperville it'll be 11 years in April. And then I worked somewhere else prior. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about why you became a fireman.
I mean, my whole life, I was always interested in helping, as a kid. And I grew up in Wheaton. I went to high school at St. Francis. I'm right there at County Farm in Roosevelt. I went away to college for a year, and I continued to have this itch that I wanted to be in a field, like, whether it be fire or police. And I never really went down the police route. It was always more leaning towards firemen for me, but just in that capacity. And I went away to school. I was doing my education. I was going to get the 4-year degree. And after that first year, I just knew, I was like, I don't want to do this. I want to become a firefighter. And that's what I did. I left school. I called my mom one day and said, I'm coming home. She's like, oh, great, coming for a visit. And I said, nope, coming home for good. And I came home. I had a plan. I went to COD, got my associate's degree. I went to EMT school. I went to paramedic school. And I just followed through with my plan, and, dreams became reality.
Yeah. How'd your mom take it when you called her and told her you were coming home from college?
I mean, it wasn't the best because I just kind of dropped it versus saying, "Hey, I have a plan." And once I explained the ideology behind it, she was on board with it. She let me, move back in with her, kind of like, "Hey, you need to work or go to school." But when I explained the thought process and the plan I had laid out for myself, she was on board. She was supportive.
Oh, that's super cool. I love that. What is the most impactful thing that you have experienced as a fireman?
Really, I mean, the biggest impact is what it teaches you, right? It teaches me on how to, because everybody reacts to an emergency differently. And you may feel something's an emergency that maybe I don't. And being able to communicate and talk with people and, calming them and letting, just working through that problem with them. It's because it's if someone calls 911, it's more than likely one of the worst days of their lives, right? And for me, it's just another day at work. And but being able to carry through with compassion and empathy, that's probably like the most surprising thing I've taken from the job is what it's taught me and how it's benefited me as a person.
You could not have explained that better. I think there's so many different industries and fields of work where that shows up. Where, I mean, even in real estate, right? For us,
Sure.
it's another loan, it's another transaction, it's another whatever, but it's the coolest thing that some people are ever going to do. And it's
Right.
the big mistake so many people make is treat it like another, right? Because it's just your
Yeah.
job.
I mean, it's most, say 85% of our clients, it's the largest amount of money they've ever spent and they likely ever will spend, in one fell swoop. I mean, it's a loan, right? But it's for that 30 years or whatever you sign, and they're
Yeah.
committing to that. It's a huge commitment.
So I don't know if I told you this when we spoke before, but I actually grew up in apartments. Nobody in my family had owned a home prior to me selling real estate.
Okay.
My very first transaction was I sold my mom her first home. Uh,
Really?
yeah, it wasn't on like it just kind of happened, and my brother was actually my third. I got to her closing as my first closing, and I was like, "This is it." Like she just bought a. They barely even say congratulations when you
Right.
leave. Like it's so formal and boring, and so that's always been something that's been super significant to me is doing what can I do to make it magical? I've gone as far as confetti poppers. Like I
Right.
just what can I do to make it feel the way I thought it should have felt before I saw what it really looks like, you
Yeah,
know?
it's such a big deal, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like you said, the American dream, we always it was just my mom, my sister and I, right? So it was always my mom rented for a long time and I just remember, when we were younger, it was still that 20% down, right? So let's make sure everyone knows you don't need 20% down. Um, but it was that save for that 20% down. I remember she bought her first home. I was in middle school and just the excitement she saw and it like ingrained in me, like I will own real estate, and it just, as you said, the excitement, her realtor was awesome. He's still licensed in the area and like he still stays in touch with her and just seeing things like that really helps me on this end because,
Who is it?
lenders can be very dry. What was that?
Who is the realtor?
Pete Economos.
Oh, he owns my brokerage.
Stop it.
Swear to God. Swear to God.
No,
I'm totally gonna show this to him later. I
he
swear.
he will remember me, and I'm sure he will remember my mother.
I can't wait to tell him this story. He's gonna be so proud because this is like what he preaches to us all the time is the
Yeah,
staying in touch and making a big enough impact that I have goosebumps that
yeah.
people remember you this long later. You were in middle school, so we're talking what,
I mean,
15 years?
I was in seventh grade, and I'll never forget his name.
Oh my God, I cannot wait to I will edit this faster than anything just because I
Yeah,
can't wait to send him this one. That is so funny.
yeah,
Yeah, he's
yeah.
still in the business. Obviously, he owns several Keller Williams offices. He owns some out by where you live, but he
Right.
owns mine in Naperville too.
That's awesome. I'm glad he's still, crushing it. That's like I said, he deserves it. From I've obviously interacted with a lot of realtors, through the course of being a lender, and yeah,
Oh,
like
he's just a good human all around,
yeah,
right?
just overall great person. Like I said, my mom still raves about him. She's still, again, that's the only home she's ever bought. She's been in it now for, I don't know, call it 20 years, and she's still, people are like, do you know realtor? She's like, oh, you have to call Pete Economos, and so it's great.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
Essentially, your everyday, your normal is something extravagant, usually not positive, for people who are having to call on you that you're having to engage with every day. How does that transition over to your work in mortgage?
Kind of as we touched on, buying a home is such a huge commitment and investment for everyone involved, the buyers. And they're not all the same, right? All loans aren't. It'd be great if everyone had perfect credit, conventional loan, bing, bang, boom, done. It's not. So working through those things, and a lot of times when if there is a hiccup or something that is outside of the norm, it can create a response
Mhm.
from a borrower, and whether it be sad, angry, upset, and they know it's not my fault or your fault, but it creates a response. And being able to communicate with them and bring everything back in, and like, hey, these are the documents we need. This is what we need to do. Underwriting X, Y, Z. It creates a cohesiveness. So I'm what I've learned at the fire department in dealing with others' emotions reaches into this in a positive way because I'm able to remain calm when maybe there isn't a calm. Something goes wrong right near closing, or I'm able to remain calm and work through to get the answers
Mhm.
and hopefully correct the problem while maintaining that calm for my clients, friends. Most people end up becoming friends. That's a big thing. We talk so much through the process, and just making sure they understand, and just regular daily communications or whenever there's a change. um, that's where it all kind of combines, in that they're big moments, whether it be an emergency or a lifetime purchase. It's a huge moment for people, and getting to be there is great, and hopefully I can help.
Yeah, it's one of the things I've noticed the most in this industry that's really valuable is that level-headedness. And that is a pretty extreme degree. Like, nothing's on fire, no one's dying, no one's cat stuck in the burning house. Like
Sure.
it makes sense that this would be, much easier for you to keep your cool. And you're such an empathetic guy that I know that your keeping your cool is still really realistic to how it's feeling for them. But I notice, and it's my least favorite quality of anybody in this industry. There are times that I find an attorney gets emotional because they're upset and they took something the other attorney did personally, or
Sure.
a loan officer is upset because, whatever it is, the buyer went and, put a bunch of stuff, open a new credit card and put a bunch of stuff on it, or, you know,
Right.
they do things, right? And sometimes it's because they didn't know, sometimes it's because they didn't believe the impact, and then it's one of those, like, you told them, you told them, but they're getting so much information from so many places, they do make mistakes. And for us to take those things personally or get emotional about them really just doesn't work. I've had this conversation both with, I don't know if I had a pretty big team at one point. I had 6 agents.
Okay.
And the plan is to build a team again, but the conversation becomes that if you are that upset about one transaction, it's because you don't have enough in your pipeline. So
Right.
instead of ruining their moment with your emotions about a paycheck, you need to go work harder so that you can stand there and be there for them the way you want to. We call it, I'm sure you do too, commission breath. When you're in that place where you care more about that commission and you can't control your emotions for that client, it's because you didn't work hard enough. So go
I
do
haven't
your
heard
work.
that. I like that.
Oh, you've never heard that? The commission
No.
breath thing?
Yeah, I
Oh
love
my
it.
god, they can smell it. They can smell it, and the mint does not fix it. And so,
Yeah, and
like, they
just
know.
chasing. You're never going to do right by someone if you're just chasing that dollar, right? And if that's your goal, I mean, you're going to be in and out, right? You're not going to last long. And whether as a realtor or a lender, like at the end of the day, we are helpers, right? We're there to help them. They're our bosses, right? Theoretically, in the process, we're guiding them, and
Mhm.
they're utilizing our advice to make the best decision. And it is their choice, as long as legally, right? As long as everything's correct, it is their choice. And if someone's just chasing that dollar, it, like you said, it shows, and then it makes us all look bad, right? At the end of the day, and that's not what it's about. And I think like anything, it gets weeded out in due time.
It does, and it just makes us have to work harder to prove that we're not that, right? Everyone's so afraid that AI is gonna steal our job, and then they
Right.
also want the easiest transactions ever, right, in our line of work, and I'm like, "Wait, hold on. You can't have both. AI
Right.
will not take our job because if it were for easy transactions, they could just, like, in your role especially, well, mine too, really, but yours is the one that I could think of to be really easy to explain, is they can hop online and fill out the application themselves.
Sure.
AI can do the rest. If it were streamlined and there were no human touch necessary, my personal opinion, I don't think high tech will ever, 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 ever beat high touch. But our job exists because we need to solve the problems, and your value to the
Right.
world is equivalent to the size of the problem you can solve, right?
Yeah, and that's just, respecting AI essentially, right? Learning it. I think it's going to creep into our industries. I don't think it's going to replace us, but it's going to help us. It's going to help clients. It's going to streamline things for us to be like you said, like a high touch, like the important areas we're going to insure and we're going to help. But there will be benefits to it.
Oh, there's this one real estate coach I watch, and she says, AI will not steal your job, but the people who've learned how to use it will. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, like I felt that one. What is the biggest problem you've solved in regard to a loan or a loan process for somebody?
The biggest problem.
Yeah, like the craziest thing that's happened in a loan and how you solved it.
This may not be the craziest, but to me, it was a good thing to learn. So FHA loans,
Mm-hmm.
there's a certain window of which if a home is flipped, right? If a flipper buys it and then lists it, it needs to be listed for X amount of days. And that's one of those things I had a client, FHA, he's like, boom, found a house. And I want to say it was like 30, it was something like 31. It needed that extra day. And unfortunately, I'm like, this house has only been on market. It ended up being like 27, 28 days. So we had the luxury of saying, hey, we are coming in with an FHA offer. We need the grace period because this home was flipped. Thankfully, it's Friday, and by Monday, we're past it, right? So kind of diverted it because of that, but that could have been a big deal, especially for my client if I hadn't informed them or if the realtor didn't know, there's a lot of things that's how you get upset people, right? Upset clients. Yep. And
well,
just being able
in a moving truck for 4 days, right? Because we didn't, know to watch for it.
Right.
Or catch it soon enough. It's one of the most interesting things to me. So number one, I will never deter somebody from using a new loan officer or a new realtor. Obviously, I was new at one point. You were new at one point. I needed people to give me those opportunities, and I'm really grateful they did. However, if you are working with somebody new, I think that you would want to make sure that they are partnered with somebody who's mentoring them, because unfortunately, this is, like we said, this is the biggest thing they've ever purchased. And the reality is your value or my value to this becomes, it's no different. I know this is going to sound really dumb when I first say it, but it's no different than a doctor in the aspect
right.
of the doctor doesn't get paid for the hour he's sitting in front of you, right? He gets paid for everything it took for him to learn what makes him valuable to you in that moment, right?
Right.
And so are we paid well for what we do? Sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't quite work out that way. But generally, if we're good at what we do, and we know what to watch for, et cetera, are we paid pretty well if you divide it out by the hour for what we do? Yes, but it's not for the hour that you see me sitting in front of you doing something. It is for, all the things that I do behind the scenes that you don't know, right? All the problems that happen, like even my mom's loan, when I did her transaction, the number of problems that do come up that we solve before they ever find out is immense. And I don't think people realize that. But then,
and when you're solving it at 11:30 at night, they don't think about that. Or you get up at 4 a.m. to make sure it's clean by the 8 a.m. drop,
Yeah, or I can't sleep at night because I'm that worried about a transaction, which is,
right.
You learn to get a little bit better with that over time, because there comes a point where your health matters, and, it's all the time. It's not a one-time thing, but I just agreed. The size of the investment, the things we do behind the scenes, and I've learned over time to communicate with people better about, hey, this is what I've already done. Here's what's next, and here's what's coming, so that they understand what's happening and what they're paying for. But even on top of that, like so far beyond that, you're not just paying me for the things you see me doing. You're not just paying me for the things you don't see me doing that I'm doing. You're paying me for knowing to watch for those things that somebody else might not know to watch for, that is going to cause you a really, really big problem when somebody sells, by owner, and they're like, oh yeah, it went great. I'm happy with the price I got. I'm like, but you don't know what you left on the table, right? You don't know how much money you left on the table. If you hired the right realtor, you're essentially going to walk away with more money in your pocket after paying the commission anyway. So there's that. But then all the problems that cost you money that you didn't even realize were a problem because somebody brushed them over and there wasn't someone there to have the foresight.
Right.
Yeah. And so the same thing with you guys. The number of times a loan officer calls me and they've solved a problem, they give me a heads up and then it's solved so quickly and the client never even has to know, which is pretty darn awesome.
Yeah. And like, you touched on like, mentorship, having mentors and coaching. Yeah. And I think that's huge. Just a team. Like I'm on a team of lenders, right? We refer to ourselves as the frontline team. We're all, fire, police, or vets. Essentially, our team is made up of, and it's just everyone's there. So because you're always going to see something at some point. You may see something you've never seen, and there's someone there. And the coaching aspect, and that was part of the big reason I wanted to be where I'm at, is because it's huge. Like any back end support that I could need is 100% available to me at the drop of a pen. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, and you're in a really great place too. With a company like yours, you have so many different hands in the pot that are part of that built-in checkpoint, right? Like
Right.
it's pretty special. So you mentioned your team, and I'm glad you brought that up again. Your team and how everybody is some kind of like first responder, et cetera. Tell me a little bit more about that.
As I said, the guy who started the team, Joey, I worked with him at a fire department, and he was into mortgage lending. And as he grew in the industry, he created a team, and that team ended up being, people you want to bring in, people you trust, people you like, and
Mhm.
he started to do that. He was a vet as well, and a couple of the guys on the team, he served with, and then some of them, one of them's a fireman now, one of them's a cop. There's a couple other firemen on the team, and it's just kind of how it built, and it's a nice camaraderie. We all understand each other. We can communicate well. We can communicate pretty freely and openly, with each other compared to some corporate communications, if you will.
Mhm.
So yeah, it came together and seems to be working out great. Everyone's happy. Everyone's working, and
Do you have a favorite kind of loan to do, or like a favorite loan product?
I have been working with some investors lately. So DSCR is kind of fun, just seeing that. I love seeing, again, just growth, right? People are growing. If they're buying more properties, that's their business. They're growing. I just love seeing people just scale, whatever it is. Scale your business, scale your life, and it's awesome to me. So I do like working with investors on that regard, just because it's super cool to see them from one door to 10 doors, right? It's a cool transformation for them.
It is really special, and it's a really special kind of wealth to build too. There's so many people who buy a house or two with every child they have, and that's what pays for college and the wedding.
Right.
Uh, one of the things I noticed in the information you sent me over is you do HELOCs.
Yeah.
There aren't a lot of loan officers I work with that do them. What is a HELOC? Let's go there.
Okay, so per the acronym Home Equity Line of Credit, right? It allows you to pull the equity in your home, and it is to you, right? Oftentimes, yes, it can be utilized as a line of credit. With so many people having such great interest rates and buying years ago, the equity in homes is just expanding, right? I don't remember the numbers, but Keeping Current Matters, I think, posted something on the actual amount of equity in dollars across the United States, and it's ridiculous, which is
Yeah.
great. It's great for all the owners. So there's a couple different types. A big one right now that we offer that is huge, and it can be used. It can be used by investors. It can be used personal. It can be used, second homes. You can pull HELOCs on them, and we call it an AI HELOC. And it takes some information. It's almost like a bank statement. So we take some information. It's not a full doc. We're not talking 30 to 60-day close. We're talking, you and I talk. We either meet or we do it on the phone. I put everything in. If you and your home qualify, 7 to 10 days, you have your equity dropped into your bank account. And it has repayment terms 5, 10, 20, 30. You pick. Like, it's super cool. Like, you can pick the amount. You can pick again, this one's a lump sum, but as you pay it back, you can redraw, over a certain period of time. And it's just awesome. People you want to buy an investment property. You need a down payment, right? Boom. Something happens to your roof and insurance won't cover it. Roofs are expensive. Not a lot of people have that cash in the bank. Well, if you need to pull a HELOC and you're sitting on a 30 to 60-day close, how big's the hole in your roof? We can have money in your account next week, right? So it's awesome. It's a great product. And then obviously traditional HELOCs, right? It's just is your typical full doc, which is fine and normal, just takes a little longer. But that AI HELOC has been a boon for people who either need the money or quickly, home sell quick, right? If you're looking for a down payment on an investment property, well, you just got it in 7 days,
Yeah.
right?
Let's talk about some other reasons somebody would use a HELOC, whether it's the AI or the more traditional one.
Yeah, big ones are, home renovations. That's the biggest thing you see. they want to update. And now people, maybe they don't want to move, their family's growing, but they know they have all this equity. They may put an addition on, updating kitchens, bathrooms. Some will use it. You can use it for a debt consolidation. Obviously, I'm a big proponent in making sure that somebody has a grasp on their finances before using something that's for debt consolidation. I refer financial advisors to most of my clients, because I think that's huge. So, something like debt consolidation, it's definitely good if you're sitting on 20-25% credit card debt. Your
Mhm.
interest rate's going to be lower, right? And then you can pay it off, and you can pick a longer term. There's no prepayment penalty on most of them. So
Well, it's not a full refinance. So if you have that 2% that you're hanging tight to, like you can keep your 2% and still reduce the what you're paying on those credit cards, assuming again it is a financially responsible decision.
yeah, but it does. Again, if sometimes the last, regardless of opinions, the last 4 years, we've seen inflation and cost of money, like whatever, however many years. And like you said, credit card debt's risen to extreme highs, and many people are good with their money. They're just in a position due to XYZ that, yeah, this is going to be great for you. You can get out of that much sooner than trying to do like a snowball method or a pyramid method, whatever the different ways are. So it's big on that. Again, other types of emergencies that maybe insurance doesn't cover, because real estate, right, creating wealth, that wealth you've created in that home is yours, and now you're taking that to create more wealth on the wealth. Like, it's just like, it doesn't stop. It's awesome.
Which
I
is
love
the
seeing it.
best way to do it, right? Ideally, you're
Yeah.
not having to pay off debt with it. You are using it to create more wealth. What is in the future for Evan?
Again, we keep talking about just growing and scaling, and that's what I want to do. But I want to do it correctly, in a way that I'm helping people. I want to continue to, again, friends, family. I mean, so much of what I do is referral based, because it's just, I prefer that you have a connection with someone. And we just had, like I said, my wife Hannah and I, we have 3 kids. We have a 6-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 4-month-old. So we just had our third kid. So the immediate future is like maybe get some sleep, and then as we continue to go, it's just providing for my family. Time management is huge for me, like daily schedules. And I'm a big be home for dinner guy, right? Obviously, I'm at the firehouse. It doesn't count, because those are 24-hour shifts. But like really like solidifying that life of work and family. And like I heard someone say recently, they said balance, right? They're like, balance isn't what you want, because balance means you're taking here to give here. You just want it to cycle. You want everything to be flowing in the
Rhythms.
same.
That's the way I heard it.
What's that? Yeah.
Rhythms. Getting
Yeah.
into rhythms in each area of your life.
Yeah. So like that's just big for me. It's just the family time and the working time, and committing to my family, my clients, the city I work for. Like I still obviously give my all there. And just happiness, take a couple vacations, have fun, and just keep moving forward. That's what you got to do.
How does the balance work for you being a fireman, being that, every 2 days you're gone for an entire day, having another full-time job as a loan officer?
It's totally doable. Again, it's 24 hours on, 48 hours off.
Mhm.
So even when I'm on, right, I'm not necessarily always at a fire or always on an EMS call, so I'm still available. And that's what's nice too about having the team. If something were to occur, boom, I'd ping it to someone who's not on shift, and they would, step in to assist. I have a goal of trying to pick my daughter up from school. So, as long as my schedule allows, it's not an everyday thing. Like, that's just not possible with what we do, right? But at least once or twice a week, because I'm gone for those full days at a time, which is tough, and if I get overtime or forced back, now I'm gone for 48 hours. So yeah, I think it flows really well. It's a rhythm that you get used to, as far as coming from one, getting off, and starting your next day. And I think it's yeah, I guess it's all I've ever known. I've never done anything but work 24-hour shifts while also working another. I've always had basically 2 full-time jobs.
I feel like here now business people, reasonably successful people or very successful people have this very different mindset. Like it went from, all work, all work, all work, all work and leaving everything in the dust to, oh my God, work-life balance and this kind of obsession that almost kind of holds people back. And um, even if they did find a way to balance it, they kind of also felt really stuck in trying to balance it to this really new, beautiful mindset, like what you just talked about it's less about how much time you're where you're at and more about the intentionality you're giving what you're doing in the current moment. Um,
like I said, I grew up in a single parent home, so I don't want my kids to feel that, right? Even obviously I'm present, I'm here, but mine was a true single parent home, but I don't want them to feel like they're growing up in a single parent home because daddy's always at work.
yeah,
That's just, it's not acceptable to me, but I'm also not letting anything else fall to the wayside. It's time management. And I think that old mindset, like you said, of, well, you just have to be here to look like you're doing things.
yeah,
That doesn't do it for me. And there's days I'm working all day, every day, but
yeah.
it's not every day.
I
Something that it's obviously near and dear to my heart is we offer we call it a heroes program. And it's not time sensitive. It's for, I guess I can't say forever, but it's for always until it's not, I guess. Cops, firemen, vets, nurses, teachers, frontline workers, people who we deem heroes to our generation, to our kids, to the people we love. We offer $1,000 closing credit, which I think is huge. I mean, in the scheme of it, $1,000 isn't going to make or break anyone, but it helps. If you've ever bought a house, every dollar helps.
What if I just put a cape on and call myself a hero? Will I qualify?
We'll see. We'll check the box and we'll see what happens. It'll probably
That's
get
fine.
denied, but
Well, we can try.
yeah, I mean, unrelated to neighborhood loans, I sit on a charity called the Naperville Professional Firefighters for a Cause. Um, we host typically like 3 or 4 events a year. Our big one is a golf outing. It's going to be in May of this year. We haven't even yet dropped all of our flyers and things like that. But it's a charity. We're a 501c3. We're more of a pass through. So we then, like, for our golf outing, we'll pick a local charity to donate all of the funds to. So we operate as a charity. We put on the events, we collect the money, and then we pass through to a local charity that we've researched, and we make sure that the funds will help them. That's going to be in May. It's hosted at Seven Bridges. We host it there most years. It's local. Again, it's hosted by the Naperville Firemen, but it is a charity faction of it. And we haven't settled on to whom to give the donations to this year. We're working through that right now. We look through the files and financials to make sure, again, that it's a completely legal, true charity, and there's nothing out of the ordinary.
So if anybody wants to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Yeah, I'm super available. Obviously, email is eshore, SHOR, at neighborhoodloans.com. I'm even totally fine just talking on my phone number here. It's my personal cell. They can call me. They can text me, 630-551-6055. Oh, Instagram, Facebook, I go by Shore Does Close. A play on my name, so it's SHOR, right? And yeah, reach out, email, call, text. I'm happy to talk to people too, even if, like, questions, concerns, like if they're stuck on something, I don't need them to fill out my application to help them. So I'm happy to talk.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being on today. And thanks to everyone else for tuning in to Aligned and Local. I hope you're feeling inspired and connected to the amazing people and businesses that make our community thrive. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. It helps us share these incredible stories with even more people. And remember, whether you're looking to buy, sell, or refinance, I'm here to help you navigate your real estate and mortgage needs with ease. Let's align your goals with the perfect plan for your future.